Teddy, darling. Teddy, would you like to join us?
Teddy,
Would you like to join us?
Teddy. Oh,
Introduce the program. Are you going to introduce it with me? What do you think? Is that Teddy was sound asleep then? Uh,
yes.
but
He's,
is he is a pro, and he can turn it on very very quickly.
oh, excellent. Oh, yes, there he is.
Okay. And are you ready to? Okay, here we go.
Good. Hmm.
Hello and welcome to Pet Talk with me, Anna, and oh, Teddy. And here we
Brigitte
are.
Barton.
And today we are introducing our guest. Can you remember her name? Brigitte Barton.
Yes, that's right.
So, Bridget, you
Yes,
are the chair for the International Canine Behaviourists,
yes.
and you are here to tell us all about that and how it came to be.
I try my best. Yes, almost 10 years ago now, I felt that there was a need for a behavior organization that is not just looking for people who have done research and um, uh, yeah, work at universities and stuff like this, but people who are actually in the field, who have got qualifications, but who have got hands-on experience as well. So really down to earth behaviorists. Let's roll up the sleeves and get in there. And I had left another organization and felt that perhaps that was the time to do something about it. And I phoned a few colleagues of mine and I said, look, what do you think? Do you think I should do it? And they all said, go for it, do it now. And I did. And I set it up sort of overnight, went to the bank the next day and started a bank account. And we took it from there and it was fine. Yes, I've never looked back. And we are now about just over 50 behaviorists, and we have spread worldwide. That sounds great. Most of them are in the UK, but we have got colleagues in America and in New Zealand, in Australia, and Japan. So it's Greece is a big one. So we are quite well represented. Yeah.
It's a very valuable thing because working one to one with clients can feel a very solitary experience. I'm an analytical hypnotherapist myself. I work in a very isolated way. So
Yes.
it's a wonderful thing to have the opportunity to have colleagues that you can kind of exchange ideas with.
Yes,
It's
yes, that's true. It is exchanging ideas, and it is. I'm sorry, I've got two border collies. One is an old one, and you've just been rolling on your back, haven't you? Yes, and he's noisy. Um, but we also have a close relationship with each other. Can you hear him?
yes.
Really sorry about this. Ollie, can you just perhaps have some water? Yeah. Uh, um, we meet for just chats as well, where we can just say, oh, I don't know what to do here, and I don't know what to do there, and what do we charge? And it's all sorts of things. Or I don't know, I feel shy when I go in, or how do you behave is there if there's only a male client and his dog. It's things like this. We chat. It's not just case studies. But if somebody doesn't know what to do with a certain case, then yeah, by all means, we're there. It's very friendly, very approachable organization. Yeah.
On top of which, this is a kind of informal professional development because
Yeah.
it, it again, it's the idea of being able to exchange experience, and we can only learn so much through our training. Then, of course, there's the experience that we have. But
Yeah.
when I first started working as a hypnotherapist, it was so valuable to me to have the supervision, because if something happened that was unclear for me, there was somebody I could check in with.
Yes.
And if I felt that I needed to have some advice about how to handle a situation, there was somebody there. And
Yeah.
kind of, and then what you actually need is something less formal. But it's still so valuable, because when we get together, we learn from each other.
Yes. Yes, that's true. And we make quite a point of that we are always there. We have got mentors for new members. But many are, of course, still students, so they need professional guidance. But it is the personal guidance as well that sometimes you just need to let off steam, yeah, or whatever. It is so important not to work in isolation. So important, and I find it really. I make a big point of our organization being approachable. So if anybody needs any help in any way, we're there. And that is used by members, so which is good. Yeah.
Are you attracting a particular type of behaviorist? Is there, or are you, rather than attracting, are you deliberately seeking a particular type of behaviorist?
Yes. Force free is our big motto. We never use anything that forces a dog to do anything. We don't discipline by shouting, screaming, smacking, shaking cans with stones in, using whatever the spray is called, some spray at them, air spray, with a loud hissing noise. We don't use prong, shock, or other collars. It's anything that hurts the animal is strictly forbidden. Anything that intimidates the animal, the dog, is strictly forbidden. It is all very, very gentle. We get fantastic results throughout. And none of our behaviorists are allowed to use any force at all. So if they do, they will be, well, we will talk to them about it. And if necessary, they have to leave the organization, because we need to ensure that our quality is throughout the board. Yeah, there's no exception to the rule. We do get the same results as trainers or behaviorists who use force, and they get the results very quickly, but we get the results much slower, which is a disadvantage, because we are a quick fix society. But our results are lasting, and their results are not. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is the big issue, is that we have created a culture for ourselves of impatience.
Yes.
And, in my line of work, it's the pills, the pills that are to fix me. And actually, I see clients who have been, I'm going to actually use the word brutalized by the pill approach to therapy, which is not. And so they have had to deal with, becoming addicted to antidepressants. They've had to deal with all sorts of ways in which actually what they needed was somebody to listen and to be understood, so that
Yes.
we could then move forward into getting to the root of the problem, which has now been exacerbated by something else, and
Yes.
the root of the problem so that we can move beyond it. There's a parallel here between
Very
the
much.
human world and the dog world that you're dealing with all the time, because you're saying it's not about the result, it's about the dog.
Yes, exactly. It is just like that. And I think clients are often surprised when we come in and, if there's a bite history, it's not, oh, do this and that. There is not a formula, put the dog in the cage and lock him in. No, you don't. Yeah, the dog needs to learn what is expected of him. Why does he bite? What reason is there? How does the owner behave? What does the owner do to force the dog to bite? There's so many stages before a dog actually does attack. And that is what we need to find out. And I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I go into consultation and I'm on the dog side. Whatever happens, I'm on the dog side. And I seek the fault in us humans. What are we doing to frustrate a dog so much that he displays behavior ABC? And that is what we need to get across. And then how to deal with it, how to get the dog's trust back, and all this. It is actually lovely if the owner is willing to work along the 4-3 lines, then fantastic.
I guess we can't stress enough the fact that it's down to us.
Yes.
I can't imagine it ever not being down to us, and the importance of trust. Teddy is a very loving, and we have a loving dog, and we have a tremendous bond of trust. But here comes the but. Vet experiences have, and this is not in any way blaming the vet.
No.
It's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Because Teddy is very sensitive to being handled in ways that he does not like. And
yes.
Personally, I feel the same about having intrusive treatments as well. And he is exactly the same. But he doesn't have the ability to understand why these intrusive treatments are happening.
True.
So consequently, he's become even more sensitive to the prospect of these treatments. And so when earlier this year he had an ear infection, put drops in his ears, it broke my heart, because a muzzle was used, and he would just hang his head and allow the muzzle to be put on.
Yes.
And it broke my heart, because I knew that what he was trying to say was, I hate this so much. I'm allowing you to put this muzzle on me because I know that if I don't have it on, I won't control myself.
Yes. Yeah, that's
so
right.
I could see, I know that it seems odd that he would be thinking, but I could feel it. I could feel that that's what was going through him. And subsequently, of course, he's been much happier, because no more muzzle period of, a few days where that happened.
Yeah.
But he is so much more sensitive to being handled than he used to be. And I'm working on rebuilding that trust.
Yes.
But it's being handled in a particular way. It's handled with intention, I always say.
Yes.
So if I spot something, like a tick that needs to be looked at, I can't look at it for too long, because you'll go, what are you looking at?
Yes.
What are you looking at?
Yeah.
if I take him into the bathtub and he's used to being showered, because of umpteen muddy walks, at
Yes,
this point I can have a look and see, and and examine him there. But it's just that's not who he is.
I
It's
know.
the circumstances that
Yeah,
have made him so
yeah,
sensitive,
yeah,
and
that's
and
right.
he's not going to take any nonsense anymore in his mind.
Yes, it is like
Not
that.
blame him. And when we can see that, it changes everything, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, it does. And if you have a close bond with your dog, you understand what he's telling you because it is communication. We don't need words for that. It is just body language, isn't it? And you understand it as a human, and they understand us. But what they don't understand is that they have developed a fear of something, and we have to still go ahead and treat them. And they aren't keen on that. And that is something, yes, it takes work. It takes building up the trust again. Yeah, using treats in that case. I would use frankfurters, chopped up
Oh,
frankfurters.
his ultimate favorite are duck necks.
Oh, okay.
So
Yes.
he was handsomely paid every time, um, which I think what that did is as soon as the muzzle went off, it helped him to release stress immediately,
Yes.
because he would take it and really chew, and as we know, chew is a stress relief.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So
Yes.
and then we would go out for a walk immediately as well, so that he could run and
Oh, yes.
get that out of his system. But
Yeah.
it's just
Mhm.
it's that need that we if I can't imagine what it would have been like for him if we didn't have that sensitivity to him, and that understanding and compassion for his plight,
Yes,
and if we made it about us.
exactly. And it would have easily ended up in a bite, in complete loss of trust, in other situations as well. And we lose a lot if we become forceful, yeah, because they can't trust us, which is understandable. And it's so sad that there are so many people who give advice, people on television, and people in the training world who just say, "Oh, you know, put whatever a prong collar on if the dog pulls, or a shock collar if the dog likes to run off lead." You know, what? You don't shock a dog. I had a client who I went to, and they used a shock collar on their dog. So of course that had to come off. I don't accept that under any circumstances. And I said to them, "Oh, that hurts." "Oh, it doesn't." And I thought, "I show you it does." And I said, "Okay, let's try it on you." Now they thought I would put it on their arm. Well, I didn't. I put it on their neck, and I shocked. And yes, it hurt. They acknowledged that. And I thought, I'm usually not as brutal as that. But when it comes to shock collars, they need to learn quick, because that is something you do not use on a friend. And your dog is your friend, your best friend, usually. You don't go there. You just don't go there. And it's, yeah, it's the advice out there is go and use it. And a prong collar, it's got claws in it, metallic claws that dig into the thyroid, into glands here on the neck. It digs into voice box. It digs into everything, and often dogs bleed. It's just horrendous who comes up with these torture instruments and then recommends them as well. Yeah.
I think it's the attitude of do what I say.
Yeah, very much so.
The attitude of do what I say, and the expectation that we are at the top of the of the hierarchy.
Yes.
Everything must bow down before us. And that is an incredibly arrogant attitude. And it is not one that I feel the average person has, but they have been taught
Exactly.
that this is the way to behave. And thankfully, that I feel is a minority that are going to do that, because when I meet people who in puppy class are being told that not necessarily to use those types of things, but that they have to really, be more assertive with the puppy, or, shout at the puppy, people often walk out.
Oh, really? Good.
So I think for the average person that feels wrong.
Yes.
And I think that things are changing, and I hope that you're seeing that in your practice.
I hope so, because yes, we see it in our practice when we actually go in and explain to them why they should treat their dog differently, and why the gentle way, which does not mean just drip feeding treats all the time, but why a gentle way helps the dog to learn and to understand of what we want rather than using force. But I find the theory of I'm the boss, I'm the alpha is still very much alive.
It's very tempting. It's very tempting because, as you say, the results appear to be quick initially.
Yes.
However, that is not, it's not secure, because the foundation on which it's built is one of fear.
Yes.
So that's not going to work forever.
No, it comes with consequences. The dog, if he is now fearful because of the training method, that means he loses trust in the person, in the handler. And another situation, completely different situation might arise, and he just can't cope, and poof.
Yeah. Indeed. So let's imagine that you are dealing with someone who has a puppy for the very first time.
Oh, yes.
They've never had a dog before.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming to you to say, Brigitte, what do I do to help my puppy grow up to be a happy, confident dog? What would your advice?
My advice would be, just love this dog to bits. Love him to bits. I say him, it might be a her. Don't start with sit and down and come. And well, come is becoming the first command, which is urgent. But no, sit and down and do this and do that. They aren't circus animals. They can think for themselves, even at a puppy stage. And I would just go with the flow. See what he wants to do. I mean, they are sometimes in fifth gear. That means let him have fifth gear and climb up the wall, and then peel him off and say, right, and now we're going to snuggle, and then you're going to sleep for a bit. So sleep is important, very important. The potty training, or whatever it's called, potty training in my house, take it easy. Take the dog out every hour. Stay in the garden with them. Don't just open the door and shoo him out. You go out too. And when he does something, just praise over the top. And then he can come in again. And then an hour later, you try again. Perhaps he needs to go again. Their bladders are not very big at the early stage, so they need to go out again. I didn't teach my puppy to sit or down or anything. No, it comes because we talk to each other. Yeah, gradually he learns what sit is. He sits himself. I'm not telling a puppy or a dog what he has to do. I don't like to be told to sit or stand or lie on the floor. Yeah, I do it myself, thank you very much, when I feel like it. And I think we ought to respect that in dogs as well. The only thing I find important is a recall, because it might save his life. And so from a puppy on, no, I don't start with orders and commands, but if we go in the garden and he's playing about and I find I'm frozen to the ground, I would call him. And when he eventually comes, which takes quite long at the beginning because everything is more interesting, when he comes, you make a big fuss and then you go in. And so this is how you start the recall, his name, and come. And yay! And I always used to open my arms so that they can run into me. And my youngest dog is now 7. And when we are on a walk and he's a bit too far for my liking, they walk off lead. I don't shout, but I wait until he looks at me, which he does at frequent intervals, and I just open my arms. And he comes running, ears flying. Yeah. And yeah, it's that easy. It's that easy. And this is how I work on building from the puppy, especially the relationship, the bond, the love, the trust. That is the important bit. And then you build up on that. Unless you are an obedience fanatic, then you go to obedience training. But for me, that is not important. Yeah, that is something like a sport you do. I just like the cooperation between me and the dog.
You reminded me of how I learned the word come. I would be cooking liver for him and be cutting it up to freeze bits. And as I was cutting it up, I would call him and he would come. And then he'd go off and I would call him again and he would come, because of course he knew there was liver being offered.
Exactly.
That was how Teddy learned to come when he was called.
How lovely is that?
It's just reminding those very early days.
Yes.
They're so precious too, aren't they? Those early days when they're puppies.
Yes.
They grow so fast and it goes so quickly.
Yes. Yes. Yes, that's right. Yes, and the legs suddenly become long and the puppy stage is over. Oh, yes. But when you have built up something during that time, you have built up some love and some trust and some bond that is just so magic. Yeah. And
you said something that I think is so important. You said, just love them. Yes. And one of the things that people are so afraid of is loving lest they should spoil. And I have, and this happens with children, I have parents, who when they're concerned about, the children, they say, maybe I've been too soft, I've loved them too much. And I say, no.
No, you can't.
You can't. It'll be something else, but it will not be that. And it's the same thing with dogs, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Are so afraid that they're going to be deemed to be soft and that the dog will, somehow suddenly start this Machiavellian plot to manipulate.
Yes, exactly. I'm taking over the world now. I sit on the sofa. Yes. No, you aren't. Neither am I, for that matter.
Yeah, and it does. And we have these thoughts, and they're so utterly absurd because
yes, they are.
And then there's I call it enterprising. Other people call it manipulation. Yeah. So, Teddy has an allergy to bananas, and yet bananas are amongst his favorite foods. Mm-hmm. So of course he can't have bananas, and that's fine in the house. But you'd be amazed at how many banana peels get thrown out there, because they biodegrade and people just throw them in bushes.
Of course. Yes.
So they don't know that there's dogs like Teddy out there hunting for banana peels. And so I taught him very early on that when he sees a banana peel, he's to give it to me, and he'll
Yes.
a duck neck in return.
Oh, good.
And so this is the importance of duck necks in this house. So he now, we call them the treasure hunts. He goes out, and I promise you, he could smell a banana peel hidden in a shrub, like, I don't know how many meters away. And I always know he's found a banana peel because of the excitement that
Yeah.
he has as he's nose in the air looking for this.
Yes.
So he's now turned this into a game
Mm-hmm.
in order to get a duck neck. That's
Excellent.
not him manipulating me.
No.
That's him having taken something I've taught him,
Yes.
which is to his benefit, because he's not going to eat them.
Yes.
So he goes hunting for them, and I'll say to him, "What have you found?" And he's like meters away from me, and he'll wave it at me. It is the most hilarious that he waves this banana peel at me,
Oh,
and
brilliant.
I say, "Oh, brilliant! How wonderful!
Yes.
You're going to bring it over, kind of thing."
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the thing that we need to understand, is that when we give them the opportunity,
Yes.
they will take what we've done, what we've taught them,
Yes.
and be very enterprising and elaborate and create new games. That's to be celebrated, I think.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, 100%. 100%. It is just, yeah, it's lovely. We need to, your dog neck, we need to see as a pay. I go to work, I get paid. You find a banana skin, you get paid. You don't get paid in money because that doesn't make sense to you, but you get paid in dog necks. And that is his pay for doing a brilliant job. And this is how we need to see it. It is not manipulation. Yeah, he is doing really well by,
Brilliantly, because
yeah,
I'll tell you what, Bridget, he's now extended his treasure hunts to litter. And
fantastic.
so it's he's thought, okay, this is an opportunity. It works for banana peels. Will it work for shiny wrappers?
Yes.
And consequently, he's helping to clear up the local woods because he brings the treasure. And so, am I going to say, "Oh, he's really taking the mick now"? No, I'm saying, "Oh, how absolutely brilliant!"
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that I have a dog that goes and collects things and brings them to me,
Yeah, it's
rather
good.
than doing them, eating them, or whatever.
Yes. So how wrong would it be if you saw him picking up a banana skin and then running to him, grabbing it, pulling it, being tense, nervous, panicky because of his allergy?
Yeah,
And he would hold on to it, and he will make sure next time he will keep that banana skin. He will perfect his method. The duck neck, that is his pay for doing his job. And that works. So this is what shows again that if you work with your dog and you understand what he's doing and how you can use kindness basically to teach him something, that is just very successful.
it's. I think probably one of the things that I'm aware of, that I've learned through having Teddy in my life,
Mm-hmm.
is that I never ever want to pull rank. That's why I was so heartbroken when we had to use the muzzle. And I want this to be a relationship of equals.
Yes.
And so he does things that worry me sometimes. Like he's, like so many dogs, his penchant for sticks, you know?
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and, but on the whole, if I say to him, "Is that for me?"
Yes.
So he'll go into the garden and he'll bring in a stick, and I'll say to him, "Oh, that's wonderful. Is that for me?"
Yes.
He'll give it to me.
Yeah. It's
Whereas if
lovely.
I'm just in that moment a little bit stressed and I say, "Teddy, can I?"
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He'll pretend he's not got it.
Yes.
And I know this. I have a dog that is capable of lying because
Yes,
I've
yes.
seen him, look at me and go, "I haven't got anything." And then I turn around and he's dropped it on the floor because he's hit it in his mouth. And this is the difference, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the difference. And then
Yes.
I look at that and I say, "Oh, Teddy, darling, you did have something. Is that for me?"
Yes.
And he'll go, "Oh, all right then."
Yeah.
Because he knows I'm
Yes.
going to exchange something
Yes, that's right.
for
Yes,
it.
that's right. Yes. Yeah. And
And
it's your voice, isn't it, basically, that he reacts to? What mood is she in?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so this is and I guess that's the reason why I'm sharing these little pieces
Mm.
with you, because I feel that they illustrate so much what you're talking about.
Yes.
That it's the relationship that
Yes.
and that you can't love enough.
No, you can't.
So you definitely can't love too much.
No, impossible. And you never spoil a dog by loving him. And people say he can't sit on the sofa, he can't sleep in my bed, he has to stay downstairs. That is a big mistake. The sleeping downstairs is a big mistake. They are in nature. Wolves still do it. The natural dogs we hardly see anymore, only in more underdeveloped countries. They live wildly amongst people, but they always seek company at night. And in wolves, you see that the pack is sleeping together. Now, with dogs, we expect an 8-week-old puppy to go in a crate in the kitchen while I go upstairs a few floors and sleep up there, and it's alone. I had a client who had a Labrador, and she expected the owner expected the dog to sleep in the kitchen, and he had the run of the kitchen, and that was it. And then the door was shut, and the family, kids and everybody, went upstairs to sleep. So they called me in because at night time, at a certain time each night, the dog was barking and howling and making a lot of noise. And for me, it was just, really? And you call it a behaviorist for that? But yes, it was a real problem for them. And all it meant was, take your dog upstairs. The dog can't cope on his own. And I said it might have been sparked off by like a very windy night, and the shadow of branches and trees and so on moving, and it frightened him. So this is how it started, the problem. And the son who was present, who was about 14 in the consultation, he said, "I told you, Mum, let him come upstairs." And I said, "Yeah, let him. He can sleep anywhere in the room. If you want to, you can put the crate in the room. But it's best just to have a little bed where he can sleep." And he said, "And can he sleep on my bed?" And I said, "Yeah, fine." And everything within a night, the problem was solved. They rang me. I stayed in touch with them for a little while. No problems at all anymore. And it just shows how much a dog needs us at night. They feel scared. They might be big, but they're scared on their own. Yeah.
I don't think we appreciate the extent to which we prefer to not be on our own at night.
Yes.
As children, particularly,
Mm-hmm.
Children needing night lights, needing teddy bears,
Yes.
needing needing access to mum and dad if they have bad dreams.
Yes.
Children are trained to sleep on their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's and or they should be. It shouldn't be a big one-off, you know, baby immediately sleeps in a cot in another room.
No.
It doesn't. And puppies are exactly the same, and dogs remain the same because they like to be with their packs. Now, many of them, as they grow up, decide to sleep in other parts of the house, but that's their.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, in my house, I have got all the doors open, including my bedroom, and the dog can sleep there or downstairs or wherever they want. Completely up to them. Yeah, nobody tells me where I have to sleep. I choose the most comfortable bed and the nicest room, but that's my choice. And the dog can choose as well. And I think I can understand that some people don't like dogs sleeping on their bed, because a dog, once it's comfortable, it can take up an enormous space and you can't move, and your legs are sort of tied to the mattress and you can't even go to the loo if you want to.
And we have to say that it obviously, for the human side of the equation, a good night's sleep is absolutely fundamentally important for health and well-being,
yes.
For sanity, in fact. So, you know, sleeping with an animal is not always ideal.
No.
But they don't have to sleep on the bed. You know, if you put them with an equally comfortable alternative.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing. The dogs are fools. They know where how to find comfort.
Yes, they do. And I mean, I've got two dogs, both border collies, and one is sleeping in my bedroom, but he's sleeping on the floor. His coat is so thick. He prefers, it's a wooden floor. On the hard floor, he's got a bed, but no, he sleeps next to it. And the other dog, he sleeps downstairs. That's his choice. He comes up first and then he goes down. And sometimes at night, he hops on my bed and snuggles up to my legs. And it's really tight, so that I wake up. And he stays perhaps for half an hour. I'm not sure. When I then next turn around, he's gone. But he will stay for a while, and that's fine by me. But I personally prefer that to a dog sleeping permanently in my bed, and I haven't got the movement. But, you know, that's up to the individual family. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's that, isn't it? It's finding what works for and the dog side of things as well. So, well, Brigitte, you know, it's been so wonderful to have this conversation with you, because it's given viewers the opportunity to understand where you're coming from in terms of your approach to dealing with dogs. And I'm sure that many of the people watching this are already there with us anyway. But perhaps it's always helpful to hear things coming from different angles, because it solidifies thoughts that we might have had that we're not so confident about. And I'm hoping that this conversation does that for all who watch it.
Yes, if just one dog benefits from it, that would be fantastic.
It would. So how do people find you, Brigitte, if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, we have got a website, www.icbdogs.com, and everything you want to know is on there. Their contact details, email addresses, everything. Every behaviorist is listed. We all have got the same ethics and the same ideology. So all of them on our list, all 50 of them, are very carefully vetted. And we do not only go by academic qualifications, but by hands-on experience as well. But these days, there have to be qualifications. So we can't just take a dog trainer who says, I've got a dog, and this is how I started. That's not enough anymore, so we need more. We do programs of webinars every month, which our members get free, and the webinars are by well-known people in the behavior world, in the dog world, and to update everybody's knowledge all the time. If there's anything new, they have got it there. We have got a huge library of webinars as well that people can access. So it's not just me, it's everybody is the same in our organization.
So are these webinars and is this library available to people like me who just want to learn more?
Yeah, but you pay. I think there's a charge, but it's like £10 or so. But yeah,
that's wonderful.
It's available. Yeah,
that's absolutely wonderful. What a fantastic resource for everybody out there who is wanting to understand their dogs better and is looking for inspiration on building that relationship. Thank you so much for that and for today.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to me. I really enjoyed this. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay.
All for watching. Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.